So, I'm at Durdle Door again, and it's been raining today. It was raining till 10 o'clock and it started raining again actually. But what I'm planning to do, rain is good, cold is good, heat is not. I am attempting to walk the 2.5 miles to White North, and I'm going to do it slowly, a bit like a snail, as slowly as possible, but I want to get there because I'm planning to move from Uleys tomorrow, which is Wednesday. And I've got water, I've got food. Stupidly, I've got my cap. So the one thing I had to freshen up. Luckily, I brought a t-shirt to block my very burnt neck. There will be probably less of a problem this today, but yes, I like it. I think I prefer Durdle Door when it's like this, when it's sort of raining and grey in this part of the world. Although it makes it difficult to do artworks. But it's less people, less bullshit. The odd person odd rude walker, I was walking up and there's so many paths down, on that drawing. I'm walking up that hill in Uppy, Downies 2, that I posted a few episodes ago. Was it 6 or 5? And you can see all those rivulets are at each one is a path. I probably didn't draw all of them, there's many to them. And I was coming up, and someone was coming, I think it looked like a German couple were coming down, and they could have easily seen I was coming up and gone to another. Oh no, they had to come down the very route I'm coming up, and that's why I had to wait for them. So it's like that kind of silliness. But yeah, this today very much has been headphones on, let's get this done, and basically screw anyone else. Because, after 6 days of bullshit from locals and visitors alike and holiday park people, I am not in the mood for any of their shit. So headphones on and fuck you all, and I'm gonna get to White North or Nose or however you say it. First hill done and legs are okay. It was funny, I came up and someone was saying, "Nearly made it." I said, "No, sorry, got four more of these made to White North." And we have a group of cows at the top huddling together, which is a bad sign, but I don't feel cold because I'm wearing my long trousers today, which is probably good, keep them warm and dryish. I do have more layers. Actually, I'm boiling from walking up the hill, so I do have a pack-a-mac. Amazingly, the park shop had these didn't have these pack-a-macs. I kept asking day after day after. Suddenly, they arrive on the rainy day. I thought they might do that, but they have them in stock. They can't bother to bring them out. That was like, well, that would be lovely to draw, except it is chucking it. So I'm looking at what I think is Butter Rock, and the sort of little mini thing, which I drew from the. I drew from on that Uppy Downies 2. So I'm sort of coming up to there now. I'm just coming down the hill. The next one's a bit less severe, I think, but then, if I remember correctly, there's a shitty one at the end which I booked on, and then I think there's another one. Is it 3 or 4 of these? So I'll check in at each one, and you can hear how exhausted I am. But I'm taking pictures. Hopefully, if it stops pissing it down, I can do some drawing or painting. Because I haven't got anything with me that's that waterproof. Kind of, but not really rain workable. Apart from maybe graphite. But I don't really want to get my sketchbook that drenched. And rather ominously, the Sound of Silence remix which I played on the podcast, came on when I started. Hello darkness, my old friend. I forget who it's by. I think it's Luxury, I think. And it was like, oh, that's perfect mood. But yeah, it's a very dark mood for what's supposed to be a sort of, yes, go get 'em experience. But it suits my mood more. I have some people coming up. I bet they choose the path I go down on. Because they always do. That's hill 2. I might not be as out of breath as you thought I would. Because and also look at the timestamp thinking, hey Tim, why did it take like 2-3 hours to walk a hill? No, I stopped and painted what will probably be, unless we do something better, the episode artwork, which is of Butter Rock and I think Bat Hole, which I'm actually standing on the promontory of Bat Hole, which is like a mini chalk doodle. I drew it. That was the one in the distance I drew when in Uppy Downies 2. That's that little notch in the bottom of the cliff and the rock. So I did a closer version. In fact, it was raining, so I decided, as a crazy person, to do a drawing in the rain, which I realised afterwards, because I was using Lyra graphite, was not the wisest thing to do, because how do you dry it in the middle of a rainstorm? I was like, I had it under I've got one of these cheap ponchos, but thankfully they're quite large, so I was just kind of like fanning it under there, and most of it dried, but I think I had to blot a lot of it. Unfortunately, a bit like my hat, I didn't bring my blotting paper. I forgot to put my blotting paper from my old sketchbook into the new one, so it had to be blotted on a half of a leaflet for Corfe Castle, which I found on the street, as you do. So yes, the piece, which I assume is just called Bat Hole, or maybe Butter Rock and Bat Hole, I don't know, which sounds like some kind of crazy superhero duo. Oh wow, people are actually running down. That's a really silly thing to do. They're actually running down the hill. That's how you slip and hurt yourself. But anyway, yes, so yeah, Butter Rock and Bat Hole, yes. Bat Hole. So it was a sort of a piece on the cheaper 30% cotton paper I got from Artway. I haven't used that this trip. A Swan vintage pen, one of the first ones I got, and watercolour. It's pretty good. I'd like to work some of the shadows, but I realised I was sitting on an ant's nest, and and I looked at the clock and it was like 4 o'clock. I'm like, oh dear, if I'm going to make the bus by 8 o'clock at over Owermoyne, which is interesting. The taxi driver I used to get to, maybe I'm knocking his door and I don't know his address, but the taxi driver that I used to get to St Abbas yesterday lives in Owermoyne, so I found that quite funny. But yes, actually no, strictly this is Bat Hole. I was slightly lying, there seems to be a little bit more hill left, but yeah, it's starting to, I'm glad the rain stopped, because yeah, it means I can stop and do work. It was getting a bit, I was walking without the, I can't walk with what's basically a plastic bag on me, breathable Gore-Tex, but I have a wonderful, amazing navy Gore-Tex jacket, only 30 quid, check your army surplus. It's Gore-Tex, their version of Gore-Tex, it's brilliant. There's only 2 problems with it. It's black with reflective strips. Guess what's stupid? And I don't know if I should flag this podcast as explicit, but yeah, C-bombs, C words, C and 3 stars. Guess what stupid people think you are? Yeah, the people who don't understand the difference between a navy coat, which has a hood, and police coats. I've looked into this because policemen wear their helmets. They don't have hoods. But, you know, stupid people think you're a copper. I had abuse last time in October from Weymouth, and it happened again. I didn't mention it, but there seems to be a thing where stupid people in Weymouth are like shouting at you from cars, and it's not usually compliments. So I have a mixed feeling about Weymouth really. It's sort of one of these places where it's like a very much a resort town, but obviously there's a whole bunch of people who hate the people who come, and seem to especially hate rucksack backpackers even more. So yeah, beware in Weymouth. It can be a bit rough. You know, I kind of got attitude on the first trip, and I got attitude on this trip. And what happened was, I got some shade from this woman because it was during the heat wave. She stopped to let me go, and because I didn't performatively, because it's too bloody hot, say thank you. She was like, "Oh, you're welcome." You know, it's just shit like that. I mean, it was more abusive back in October with it. It was understandable if I was a copper, because I think it was right at the time of the Sarah Everard stuff. But you'd think that a military town, as is Weymouth, you hear army choppers, army choppers, not coppers, army choppers and marine choppers sort of doing their exercises in the bay, and maybe even Coast Guard. You think they'd maybe know the difference between the fact that if it's got reflective strips and it's black, it didn't have the word police on it on the back, you're not a copper. But I was wearing my Breton cap, and dumb, drunk, stupid people thought I was a copper, and so I was loath to bring it, even though it's quite lightweight and it's brilliant. And also I pulled out my Pack-A-Mac. I have a nice Pack-A-Mac. But again, back nearly a week ago, it was about a week ago now, when I was packing, we had a heat wave. It wasn't misty, raining and cold, which is, as I've said, great walking weather, because you don't get overheated so much. You know, when you welcome a nice rain shower to cool you down. Especially walking up these Uppy Downies, as I called them, but the 4 or 3 hills between White Noss and Durdle Door. I took the bus. I cheated on the first one, which is Durdle Door itself, but there's actually steps up it, and I mean proper, like concreted steps. You know, so it's less of a challenge. It's just a bit like, yeah, you know, it's like walking up a very large staircase, which probably explained my knocking on Durdle Door reference even more. Okay, so we've got 2 miles to Lulworth Cove, 3 to Ringstead, 8.5 to Weymouth. I'm not doing that. Well, you know, I have done once. I'm not 30 or 35 anymore, or 30 or I'm still say 5 or 4. So. Mumble. So if Ringstead is 3, that means White Noss is 2, because White Noss is 1 mile from Ringstead. Oh, good. Oh, I've just seen the next hill. This is going to be fun. Anyway, speak to you in a bit. And that's hill 3 I'm on top of, or Uppy Downy 3. Yeah, I didn't stop so much that time. I did a quick, and I mean quick, parallel pen ink piece towards White Noss, and something called the Bear, which I don't know if it's a rock or it's a cliff. I don't know what on my Osmand open source map, I didn't see we're still climbing a bit, so oh, I know where I am now. Excellent. I can see the triangulation beacon, and I mentioned it. I think I might have mentioned it about the aborted trip. I don't know if I did, but I know what that is. I got there that last time, so maybe I'm closer to White Nuss than I thought. It depends if there's another uppy downy between that. Do you think there is? That one is the evil one. The one that defeated me last time. Maybe it was that one I did. It did look kind of familiar, but I was so tired I wasn't paying much attention. So yes, the parallel pen piece and wash of the cliffs, quite quick and chaotic, and using the sketch ink, I remixed all my parallel pens and added some more colours, because what I do is I add in between colours, so blue black, a sort of an orangey red, well it's sort of orangey yellow actually, and a purpley one, purple blue, and a green. I think there's a greeny, is either green and yellow or there's a green one, or brown. No, there's a brown. It's brown, but a reddish brown, so that can cover reds because it shades to red when you wash it. The blue black, which when you put it on it looks quite dark, you wash it, comes out blue. Then the yellow with orange and orangey to contrast the green, but it's a greeny yellow actually. It might be an orangey yellow. I'm not sure if I've got green anymore in the stack, because I found that you could just sort of mix the yellowy one and the greeny one, the blue, to get that anyway. And quite often I just use the blue shades, add a bit of yellow, but this time I just did it all in blue, the blue black. So I found that the green was a bit too much. But I take the sketch ink and the yellow, the Atramentis Document ink, although I think this time I was using more the newer, they do like a Rohrer and Klingner do an orangey yellow. Oh, it's like a reddish, looks reddish, comes out more orange. So it's like an orange, so I think I was using bits of that and maybe a bit of yellow from the Atramentis. And yes, you can mix them. You have to be careful with sort of ranges of things, whether you can mix them, but carbon inks tend to be pretty inert, so carbon is very inert, so you should be fine. Certainly all the Atramentis document inks you can mix together, and the sketch ink range can be mixed as well. So, but anyway, yeah, that was an interesting quick. Though if I realised I was near the, I don't know, it looks like I don't know if it's a triangulation beacon or a Cleopatra's needle, but it's I remember this on my walk originally, and I've heard stuff about it. I think it's more modern, but it's these things are either built by some eccentric local, like at Swanage, all that sort of stone garden stuff, or they're military. So yeah, I'm here, so I'm closer than I thought it was. White Nuss a half, and it is 5:30, so looks like I might, unless it doesn't turn out, get the bus. Yeah, and I think I will get the bus. So I was wrong. I had an extra 4 Uppy Downies, an extra 4th, which would be the Durdle Door. So there is 4 Uppy Downies between White Nuss and Durdle Door, but they are, the last one is Durdle Door itself, but I skipped that because otherwise, because that's the highest. That's why, but you've got the steps, so it's actually ironically the easiest. So yeah, barring something going wrong, and it probably will, that I would say is a success, because I know it's fairly easy going, though not completely. I've got a nasty feeling there might be another Uppy Downy lurking. I'm pretty sure the worst Uppy Downy was after the beacon thing. I think now it's White Knot. So, very grand. I'll speak to you soon. Addendum. I probably have to explain more what this whole thing was about. Because the whole thing on Friday with the, my jelly legs and just kind of, was panicking was partly because, it's like I've done that before and, I've done previous trips, I've done kind of something similar, overworked myself, but not had that reaction in my legs, and so I sort of kind of lost my confidence, and so that's why it's important to do that section today before I move on, just to show myself I could do it. I had a feeling, I had spent 3 days of my, a couple of days longer than I was planning here. I was planning to do the Southern trip, but I wasn't planning to sort of hang around several days more, specifically just to give my legs a chance to recover from what happened on Friday. And my feet still hurt, but it seems like now I've done that section from Durdledore to White Knot, I feel like I can now handle, this might be famous last words, Golden Cap and that sort of part, because that gets much more uppy. They're not kind of, if I can gather, not so much these constant, very exhausting little up down hills. Well, little, but they're... I actually saw a guy in his sort of 20s or maybe 30, fit guy with a rucksack, red-faced and sweating after, that would have been after the hill that I just kind of gave up on, that hill it would have been. And so he just kind of started. So it's not just me. So I feel better about it now. Whereas at the time, I was just like, do you have to cancel the whole trip if my legs can't even cope with something I've done before? And yeah, I pushed it, and I definitely pushed the boundaries, but it wasn't really anything that I'd not done before. It wasn't like I used to do 20-mile walks, but a long time ago. But, it was nothing massively onerous. Like I'd suddenly said, I'm going to do a 15-mile walk today from, it was, 8 miles. But, I'd already done about 5 or 6 of that. And it was just... Yeah, I think it's because it's just too early. I should have built up with the Southern Abbas, built up with the other things, the short trips, and just built up my sort of legs strength and getting used to it again. I think doing it on day 3, or really day 2, was a very silly thing to do. I wasn't planning it. It was just a case of like, we can either walk on, legs feel okay, or we can walk back. I should have walked back. I always have the general rule that when walking on the coast, I want to walk along the coast if I can at all avoid doing what I'm doing now, which is walking down a very white chalk track. I will do it, but sometimes it's led me into situations where I'm like far from anything, and suddenly the weather comes in, or my legs give up, so... But never that dramatically. I've never had that jelly leg thing. So I was like, ooh. So now I've done that. Even though it's 3.5 miles, and then it's about 2 miles into Owen. So ask me how I feel later, or tomorrow. But it feels... Ooh, someone wild camping. It feels better than it was last week. And a part of that, I think, was just the heat. it was the heat, trying to do it too early in the week, trying to do too much too quickly, and it just reminded me of how unfit I am. And I'd like to do more of these trips, and please do donate at ko-fi.com/TJB That's ko-fi.com ko-fi ko-fi.com/TJBARTS, or go to the website, which is in the anchor links, tjbaker.co.uk, and you'll see a link there. And because I'd love to do more of these. It's just a case of money, and I got to the point where there are other things going on. I was like, I had to go on this trip, this jaunt. Like it was like now or never. Well, not never, but for this year, and it was like, well, we're gonna have to try and do it as cheaply as possible. So I've been cooking. Cooking last night went wrong. My favourite dish was pasta. It is pasta with a nice sauce, because I found out that you can actually cook pasta quite happily in a little sort of 750ml billy can type thing. I've got a titanium one, an ultralight one. Spent silly money on it, even though it's from China. But it's very good. It's a cafe press as well, so that's why the extra money. But it wasn't really silly money, but for titanium. But it works really well. But it's all these things I'm trying with it. Like risotto is alright, and pasta. But of course, draining out the pasta by inverting it and pouring it out the little hole, you can guess what happened. Pasta on the floor, and I had to sort of, because it was like I was so tired, and it was 10:30, 11 by that time my pasta was ready. I just picked it up off the grass and ate it. They picked the bits of grass off. It was hot, but I had to reheat it all up again, because of course heating the grass and everything, I couldn't just add in the sauce as I had before, and the pasta would heat up the sauce, and so I had to re-add it all. It was just a bit of a nightmare, but I've been doing that, so that's saved some money, and I've not had a barn. There's a Bramley's barn, which is a restaurant. I've not had a barn experience because they closed so early, and I went there last night, and I took one look at me and went, I don't think so, at 8 o'clock, and they were supposed to finish doing food at 9. I'm like, okay. I know where I'm not wanted. It was very much that, very much like, no, not you, not your kind. So I don't think I'll bother their doors again. Because I remember when I first came there, that's what I ate the first night. So it's a kind of a tradition to eat there at some point. Or the first night. I tried the first night, but I was too late. And they've changed it. Used to be till 10 o'clock, now it's 9. Even though they're open for drinks, or open till 11, and they stopped doing food at 9. So I was like, I'll get there for 8. Or just after 8. Nope. So I don't think I'll bother with the barn in future. So yes, I think it's a successful day. I've done, 4? 3 pieces, at least 3 pieces, yeah. And I could have done more, but if I had the strength to walk home on my own, across the coast, then it would be great, it'd be fine. But, it's unfortunately, no. So, yeah, I'm signing off. This unfortunately ended up being a long podcast, but an important one for me, I think, to get my confidence back for when, hopefully tomorrow, I haven't done my research yet, so it might be Thursday, but yes, moving down the coast, but by bus, not by rail, because there's the rail strikes on Thursday and Saturday, so I have to be here for a while yet anyway. So I'll speak to you soon.